Like Father, Like Son is a Concordia Sentinel sports podcast brought to you each week by Reed Insurance and Concordia Bank. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, and TuneIn Radio by searching Hannah Publications. Now, here's your hosts, Joey Martin and Jake Martin.
All right, so we are back, and we have the last team for our little high school roundup breakdown. And Dad brought up the idea of doing Cathedral, Trinity, and AC, maybe Natchez High as well, next week. And I'm totally down with that. But
Block and Cicely Allen as well.
Block and Cicely Allen. I'm totally down with that. But as far as those MAIS or Mississippi teams, you're going to have to anchor us there, Dad, because I think we're a little too into Louisiana football right now.
I just think it's so crazy their start play this week, this Friday.
Yep. But anyway, we're back, and this week the topic is Delta Charter. And, you know, a lot of people were excited about the Storm and what they return. Of course, they've got, I believe 11 starters that are returning, including quarterback Trey Poole and running back Jalen Williams. Two guys that a lot of people expect many, many big things out of. Dad, when you look at this Delta Charter team and this super tough district that they are in, I would say it's probably the toughest in 1A. What are you anticipating from the Delta Charter Storm?
And actually, he's got sophomore Kavarius Whitehead at quarterback, and he is just really high on Kavarius. Said he stays after practice and goes over the playbook and signals. And Trey's going to be used in the slot a lot. So, Jalen Williams actually going to be the top back, and Mike Smith, the kid I was really impressed with as a freshman last year, going to be the running backs. But, it's the same old, thin up front, small up front, a lot of good skill players. And I just think Blake Wheeler's just the perfect fit for this team. Knows his X's and O's and real laid back, which is kind of what this young team needs right now. So, like I said, a lot of excitement kind of around the program and a tough district, yeah. But it's like Blake says, that's how we get ready for playoffs, and just we got to play him at some point. So bring it on.
Well, let's talk about Blake Wheeler. This is his first year to be the head coach. He takes over a team that went 4-7 last year. And, of course, both of you, Dad, you've gotten to know Blake pretty well over this summer. And, Matt, you know him well because he came from Franklin Parish. What do y'all expect out of him, and what do you think he'll bring to Delta Charter?
Well, it's 4-8 because they played 2 playoff games, beating Homer and lost to Kentwood. But, yeah, I kind of expect him to kind of go along with what Zach was doing and Jarrett doing there, using more of the spread, moving the quarterback around, trying to get his skill guys like Freddie Mango in space one-on-one. And, I like what he's done. I like how he talks to the team and just kind of even kill guys, Matt.
Yeah, and he coached the backs and for a long time underneath current coach from FP, Whitney McCartney. And of course, Whitney likes that flex bone. That's his style of offense. So Blake obviously had a tutelage under that. And, of course, when Whitney left, Blake became the offensive coordinator under Barry Sebring. And Barry wanted to go to a more veer that year, and they switched back to a more wing tee and type of flex bone all mixed together in mid season. But when Blake left and went to Rayville, of course, they were a spread team, and I think all along, all the time he was at FP, he always wanted to be a spread, but it wasn't really his call. I think that's what he would want to do. And, now that he's at Delta Charter, I think eventually once he gets the athletes in place, that'll probably be the way he'll want to go.
Well, Dad sat down with Coach Wheeler and talked to him about this being his first coaching job, and here's what he had to say.
What's it been like, his first head coaching job?
Well, it's been good at times. It's been overwhelming at times. But overall, just a really positive experience. especially coming in and having so much support from, the administration and the families in the community, and having players that are excited about having you there. And that's
big.
That's a big thing.
What's your early impression of the team?
I think we've got a pretty good team speed overall. I think that our defense right now is coming together nicely. Kids are picking up on signals. Our communication has been solid through the first few days of practice. Their work ethic is fantastic. They're one of the most coachable bunches I've ever been around.
Okay.
And they're always trying their best on every single play to do what you tell them to do. And that's a really positive deal going for us. I'm happy that they're willing to put in the work and put in the time, and they understand that it's a process. It's not just going to happen overnight, but we want to continue to build on, what they had last year, and continue to go in that upward direction.
And winning that playoff game last year was huge.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a big deal for a school that hasn't been around that long, young program.
Yeah, so I think one thing we heard from there is he talked a lot about the support and what it takes to build a program. And, I kind of liken it to what Matt Middleton's doing at West Washita, simply because he needs more athletes to come out there and play football. Wheeler's case is different because he has the athletes, but the school itself doesn't really have the numbers. But you're going to need all hands on deck. You're going to need everybody in that school to buy in. And you got a clip here talking to him about drawing interest and what it will take to get those numbers up.
Like I said, we're not super deep, but we do have some kids that they understand that we don't have the big numbers yet, but like I told them, I said, you continue to do things the right way and, have fun while you're out there and just work hard together, gel as a team. I said, if people start to become more interested, the kids who are at the school that have been coming on the fence about playing, maybe those kids start to come out, and that's where your numbers come up. But like I said, they're a great group. They really are. Matter of fact, Trey Poole was telling me a while ago that they got plans to go to somebody's hunting camp this weekend. They're going to go fishing and swimming and all that. And cause that's one of the things. Whenever I got here, I encouraged them. I said, don't let football practice be the only time you really see each other. I said, hang out with each other. And Trey's been one of those kids. He's really kind of taken the torch and kind of been that guy that's trying to get everybody together. They a couple weeks ago, they all went to the movies together and watched a movie, and now they're going to the camp and all that stuff. And that's.
Yeah, I like that. Bobby Marks was big about that when he first got to AC, and it does create a great chemistry.
Yeah, and when you just look at this team overall, and I talked about the tough teams they'll face in district, and those teams being Cedar Creek, OCS, Oak Grove, St. Frederick. Where do y'all see this team kind of factoring in as far as the district goes?
What'd Ray say? Well, I like one of the things.
Ray likes them.
Ray likes them. One of the things he did say and I liked, he said, I said, look, you're a long shot and everybody knows that. He said, yeah, there's actually 30 people who believe that we can, win district, and they're right out there with each other. I like that attitude. But, no way you're going to compete with OCS and Cedar Creek. But if they can finish in the middle, I think it's a great year.
Man, you think about OCS, man, and Oak Grove, Cedar Creek, those three right there. Those are going to be three of the best teams in the state in 1A. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough.
No doubt about it. That's why I call it. I think it's hands down the toughest district in the state in 1A. But anyway, let's move on to some college news. Of course, Florida's had their issues with 7 suspensions, including Antonio Callaway. No shocker there. Auburn named Jarrett Stidham a starter as the quarterback. No surprise there. LSU, of course, is getting a little bit healthier, but also had Lindsey Scott transfer out. When you go around the SEC, what do you feel was the biggest news that came out this week?
Yeah, I think it was a Florida deal. That's 7 players right there. That certainly sends a message, and I don't know if that was a jab at Saban or not. People commenting on that, and I thought that was the biggest news.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's coach actually holding some players accountable in the SEC. That's good to see.
I was shocked that it was actually Jim McElwain that did that, and
just wanted to hate the guy,
I don't like to compliment the guy, but kudos to him for actually suspending, and he probably didn't have a choice, but kudos to him for suspending the players and announcing it this early. I believe a lot of coaches would have liked to have withhold the information and then suspend them, a day before the game. So, Michigan and Harbaugh wouldn't have a leg up in knowing that information. But yeah, kudos to Jim McElwain for getting ahead of it and actually, holding his players responsible.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, that's, and he could have taken the high road, or he could have said, well, our guys took the stuff back. I'm going to make them run. But, yeah, kudos for following through with that.
And Lindsey Scott transferring, big deal, little deal, no deal?
No deal.
Same with you, Matt?
I think it's a little deal, but like I said, I think it's just the latest blow to LSU's momentum going into the season. Nothing really positive has happened, or at least came out of camp in the past couple of weeks. It's been a lot of negative news. So I mean, why he wasn't going to touch the field maybe this year, it certainly wasn't positive. So I mean, it just falls right in line with what's been going on for the past decade there, quarterbacks leaving. So it's probably not a huge deal, but it's certainly worth mentioning.
And boy, it happened a lot lately too. And how about John Franklin at Auburn?
Going to East Mississippi, last chance you. Oh, sorry. No, he's going elsewhere. He's going to FAU. He's going with Lane.
Okay, who's it? Okay, I was thinking Auburn for some reason.
He left Auburn.
Okay.
He was at Auburn. He left Auburn, and then
it's going with Lane.
Lindsey Scott went to East Mississippi Community College, and John Franklin III went to FAU with old Lane. A lot of people were transferring out there to Lane, but I think it's funny that the 2 quarterbacks on Last Chance U are now playing for Lane at FAU. That shouldn't surprise anyone either.
Mm-mm.
All right, Picks of the Week brought to you by Rita Insurance. Go by and see Brian Chandler today at 107 Carter Street in Vidalia. Call him at 414-0003.
Now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view. Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble!
I didn't know we had a drop for that. Very nice. So that's kind of our pick of the week. Dad came up with the idea of we should compare the buffers. Which one would you pick? Michael Buffer, which you just heard with the Let's Get Ready to Rumble, or Bruce Buffer, who's in the UFC, who's famous for It's Time. And I'll open the door. I'll let y'all decide first. Who are you taking, Bruce or Michael?
I'm going to go with Michael. I just like the way he says it. I mean, and let's face it, classic is Let's Get Ready to Rumble, but there's just something the way about Michael says It's Time that I really like.
Yeah, it's like a nice smooth glass of bourbon or something when you hear this guy say it. And the brother is almost, it's like, I don't know, it's something like angry and forceful in it, which I get that. I mean, he kind of got, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, he kind of got his fame from doing UFC, whereas Michael, did all kind of things before, during the day. He's done World Series, he's done Super Bowls, he's done, a lot of boxing as well too. But yeah, as far as announcing the fight, I got to go with old school Michael Buffer.
So y'all are both on Michael Buffer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll probably go Bruce Buffer, and that shouldn't surprise anybody just because how much I like the UFC. But I just like the way he gets into it. And, of course, Michael Buffer's is the more iconic. That's been, like you said, Matt, it's been used in various platforms. But I think Bruce, if I'm at an actual event, Bruce gets so into it, and it just creates this energy. And I know Let's Get Ready to Rumble creates an energy too, but it almost seems laid back compared to Bruce's energetic style. I mean, he just really puts gravitas into it.
Yeah, I love that too. It's the way he does it. I agree with you.
Yeah, he builds it up too. Once he gets to that crescendo, you better be ready. It gets pretty loud there.
So I'll take the L on that one, but I'll stick with my boy Bruce.
Yeah, that was not hard to see coming there, Joe. Joey's Gyms brought to you each week by Concordia Bank and Trust, who's been bridging the Misloop since 1903. Go by and visit one of their 5 locations today, or visit them at concordiabank.com.
Okay, got 3 tidbits for y'all. On their way to play Pittsburgh in the Ice Bowl playoff game in 1976, the Oakland Raiders watched the movie Jaws on their airplane ride. And Pittsburgh won that game 16-10. I had to check, but that wasn't the Immaculate Reception game. But actually, what I love, too, is the TV announcers for that game, Kurt Gowdy, Al DeRogatis, and my favorite of all time, Dandy Don Meredith.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I love Dandy Don. He was the greatest. Okay.
So y'all know it's Eclipse week, right? Coming up on Monday. Well,
yes.
We won't get a total eclipse in Louisiana, but I think Missouri is the closest place.
What a lead in.
Yeah, well, you won't ever see it again in your lifetime, so you might want to get out there and take a gander at it on Monday about 3 o'clock, 2:45 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. I wanted to also throw in, Lou Gehrig was the first athlete ever on a Wheaties box.
First? Nice. I would have thought it had been Babe or somebody, but I guess it's a great honor.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and while y'all were mentioning the old announcers, I rewatched the Rose Bowl this past weekend, and they interviewed Keith Jackson. I completely missed this in real time, but man, he sounded just so. Obviously he's gotten a lot older, but he just talked so slow, and it just made me so sad. Seeing him kind of in that state, and I think all-time voices, he has to rank high up there.
He's up there, you're right.
Without a doubt.
All right, gang. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, maybe we'll get into some Mississippi, get into some Block and Sicily Island, and who knows what else. So you'll just have to tune in and find out.
Once upon a time, there was light in my life, but now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart.